Post Timberline.
Yeah.
Hey, you
What are you
get
gonna
to see how, if we're gonna have fun or not.
Good times commission. Maybe we should file for any.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna study music education.
Oh, nice.
Gonna be a choir teacher.
Nice.
Was Terry any shy in your inspirations?
Yeah, for the most part.
It's pretty
Like being
wild.
on the love boat.
He sure could turn out. Good for us.
Soon you'll be making it lunch.
My music teacher, I grew up in Colorado, so my music teacher. Yeah, graduated. That was many years. I got 1 minute. Oh.
Carter, are you gonna roll me in on 3, 2, 1?
It's great.
I'm watching the clock.
Okay.
Ready to invite.
Roll me in.
So I was really happy whenever they gave me, they like reached out to me. This meeting too.
Great.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Lacey Parks Culture and Recreation Board meeting. It is Wednesday, May 1st, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. I would like to call our meeting to order. We will first do our roll call. So let's start with Jenny at the end, please.
I'm Jenny Wilson. I'm Senior Parks Planner.
Hello, Jen Burbidge, Director of Parks, Culture and Recreation.
Hi, Bill Fosbury, Commissioner.
Hi, everyone. Chair Goodwin.
Harry Larson, Commissioner. Justin Beard, Recreation Supervisor.
Lauren Young, Recreation Coordinator.
Aaron Wheeler, Park Commissioner.
Lori Davies, Park Commissioner.
Nathaniel Clay, Youth Commissioner.
Carter.
Carter Gibson, Executive Assistant.
Do we have anyone online, Carter?
No,
Okay.
well, besides Camber, but I don't think they're actually.
Would you like to introduce yourself, Commissioner Good?
Camber Good, Commissioner, Vice Chair.
Thank you. And now we'll do the land acknowledgement read by Commissioner Fosbury.
Thank you. The Parks, Culture and Recreation Board meets on the ancestral land of the tribal people of the Treaty of Medicine Creek, including the Nisqually Indian Tribe and the Squaxin Indian Tribe. We acknowledge and remember those tribal people not recognized today who were absorbed or relocated into other tribes for survival. We recognize the ancestors and their descendants who still are here. We recognize and respect the tribal people of the Treaty of Medicine Creek as the traditional stewards of this land since time immemorial, and their role today in taking care of these lands in perpetuity. We recognize and have the responsibility to call attention to the histories of dispossession, forced removal, and abridged treaty rights that allowed our nation, state, and city to develop as they have today. We recommend that community members read the Medicine Creek Treaty of 1854.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Commissioner Fosbury. We're moving on to approval of our agenda and minutes. Moving on to 2A, approval of the agenda. I'm looking for a motion to approve I'm looking for a motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second? Thank you, Commissioner Larson. I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the agenda as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those disapprove, say nay. All right, motion carries the approval of the agenda minutes. Looking for a motion for the approval of the March 6, 2024 minutes. Is there a motion or approval, excuse me, of the approval of the March 6, 2024 minutes?
Motion.
Motion
Second.
and a second by Commissioner Fosbury. Thank you. Is there any discussion over the approval of the March 6 minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of the approval of the March 6 minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those not in favor, say nay. Okay, hearing none, motion carries for the approval of the March 6, 2024 minutes. Thanks, everybody. Moving on to public comment. Do we have any written comments for correspondent or comment this evening? None? And do we have anyone from the public who wants to comment? See none? Are there any online who would like to comment? All right, and correspondence was sent out and it was addressed as in our packets. So we will be moving on to business items, the Lacey Teen Late Night Program update given by Lauren Young, our recreations coordinator. Welcome, Lauren. Thanks for being here.
I want to give an update on our teen programs because we haven't ran them since 2019. So we've done 3 so far, 1 each month, and we're averaging about 280 kids. So that's good because this group doesn't know about them at all. They haven't run through them. And then we have 1 more coming up in May, in a couple of weeks, May 10th, and then we'll start back over when school starts. So we've had very successful events so far. And then as far as our teen classes, we've also been able to launch new classes like drone planning and what is it called, programming drones, and then one on just coding technology as well. Been able to launch those late after our playbook and still fill them because the teens are wanting those, as well as a class specifically for our neurodivergent youth as well. So programs are doing good.
So your teen nights are all at the middle school?
Yes, so we rotate each middle school 1 each month, so that way one school doesn't get like sick of us and have to shut down. But we have an agreement with them to where we use their custodial staff to help, but we also have parent volunteers, our part-time staff, and then a few other people who have been doing it since it was ACT nights and they come back.
Yeah, that's what I
to
remember. I was trying to remember the name of it. Again, that senior thing.
Yeah, a bit of a name change because they have ACT early releases on their school calendar, so it's kind of getting a little confusing, but now we're teen late nights and everyone knows the name now because I scream it to them when they're at lunch, late night coming up, so they all know about it now.
Does Lacey PD do security?
Yes, so we have I think 1 to 2 officers and then we usually have their explorers as well.
Okay.
So usually about 5 to 6 of them each time. But we haven't had any incidents, so
No.
they're always there, they're badged, they're walking, monitoring everything, so it's been good so far. And then hopefully when we start at the new school year, all of these kids already know about it and they're already ready to sign up and get going.
And when will your for the next school year, when will it be the first one?
We'll first start one in October, let September be their getting back into school. But we're hoping to get on the school calendars this year, well, the 2024-25 year, so that way the parents know about it early, start planning their days.
And do you get much attendance from the 6th graders?
You would be surprised, but yes, they're the little ones roaming around. And so if anyone doesn't know, so we'll have the gym, the common areas and the cafeteria. So we usually have inflatables going on, concessions, video games. There'll be contests and prizes. We have a DJ and karaoke. It's all just a fun night for 7 to 10 PM and making sure that you get to know people from other schools because it's open to the whole district.
And then your volunteers, if you have volunteers, they're pulling from which areas, the schools themselves or?
So they reach directly to us. A lot of them are parent volunteers. Some of them volunteer with other programs that we have. But some of them are, if my kid goes, I want to also go.
Yep.
Can I do a background check? Can I be part of it?
Okay, so background checks are performed
Yes,
before
ma'am.
parents can do the.
No, just showing up the day of. You have to be cleared by us first.
Yeah, I've seen it coming through Facebook and it's been shared back and forth through a lot of our community members. So I thank you for doing that and like making it very user friendly. So thank you very much. It's great work. I've gotten
We've been having a
positive
good
feedback.
time.
It's been
Yeah.
positive feedback coming back, especially for that age group. So thank you for that.
Very safe too.
Yes.
Organized. Yeah. Yeah. Is there any other updates for that? You're good. You're happy.
Yep, we're happy to have we're planning the May 10th one now. So we're ramping up for that right now.
Okay. And do you need any support from the commission or is this just kind of a FYI for us?
Just a FYI, I plan my school visits. I go to each and every one, do multiple ones before the actual event, hand out flyers. Like you said, I'm on Facebook. Well, Donna puts me on Facebook. And then also Peach Jar with the school district. So that way everybody hears about it. But just a FYI, so y'all know what's happening.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
200 is a good number.
Well, we max at 600. So hopefully we get.
But see, I mean, that's a
She
lot
said
of
200,
kids to
280.
Yeah, but that's like a lot of 6 to 8 players.
Well, the.
Especially with the divergent.
Districts, they would come to our events.
Yeah, I know. I knew some interlopers.
They're synonymous with each other. Well, thank you for that update. Is there any other questions from the commissioners? Okay, all right. Moving on to our alcohol use permit from Justin Beard, our recreation supervisor, and this is an actionable item.
It is, yeah. Thank you for having me here tonight. So we have a application process for nonprofit groups doing special events in our parks. From time to time, they want to have a beer garden. So as part of the process, the application gets routed through every city department. And as a first time event, the first time a nonprofit comes and requests doing this, it has to go through for park board approval. So I'm here tonight to bring the application. The group is Change the Narrative Coalition. They've partnered with the Lacey Veteran Services Hub. Their mission is to raise awareness for suicide prevention with our veterans. So they did have an event on April 20th without any beer. But they brought out some vendors, some nonprofit groups that just looking to get the word out there that they have services that they can provide. They're doing live music. They had some food trucks out there, like 4 food vendors and maybe 10 vendors that were nonprofit groups and some selling some wares, but they had about 200 in April. I think they're hoping for, 200 to 300 per event come out for the music festival, and then they want to have a small beer garden on site that they would just another addition to the event that could kind of,
And this is at Huntermer Park.
it's at Huntermer Park.
And they manage the beer garden, so they'll have somebody there checking IDs and that.
They
kind of stuff.
do, yeah. They've Change the Narrative Coalition. They've partnered with Puget Sound Taps is a local tap house, and they're gonna be the ones actually serving. So they've got licensed bartenders. They'll have security, and part of the process when we go through all the different departments is they come back with any questions or concerns. So, they kind of give me an outline of what they need to see. And then I work with the user groups to make sure that the physical barriers to keep the general public out and security and egress and safety and all that is all up to par.
And it looks like Keith Looker from the VA is the one who's requesting the application.
It's actually Al Yee with the Change the Narrative Coalition. Keith is kind of the on-site he's spearheading the actual music festival piece and the vendors. And then Al is the one that does the
He's
beer
responsible.
garden.
The beer
piece.
garden.
He's responsible for. Yep.
Okay, do you have any concerns with the permit going to?
I don't. They do have multiple events, so it would be one a month in May, June, August, and September. I plan to be out there for the May, just to make sure everything runs smoothly, and then I would have staff out there for any following events, but I don't have any concerns. I think that the whole idea of the festival, raising awareness for suicide prevention. I think they've got a great mission. They've got some really good people involved, and it's small. Like, I don't think they're expecting a lot of people. We do the barbecue festival every year, and you're talking thousands and thousands of people and a beer garden full for 8 hours. And this is much smaller scale, shorter time frame. So I'm not concerned.
Okay, and the businesses in that area aren't concerned us? either?
No,
Okay,
Well, and
and they're Saturdays, so.
so we already have events that have alcohol at Hunterman Park, but we haven't really seen
come through the board for approval in a while. So, do you think we'll be seeing more? Like,
I think you will be, as a matter of fact. I'm glad you asked that because I'm waiting on another application that I'm expecting in the next few days, and I'm really hoping to get it in time to put on the agenda, so I think if everything goes like I think it will, you'll be seeing me again in a month.
good.
But I do think, the more of these that we see and that go off without any issues, I think we're gonna get more of these
Yeah.
requests
Yeah.
coming through.
Well, I don't think any, the Parks Department, you have a standard of how it needs to operate, already, so you're always gonna, oh, sorry. Amber.
No, do you have?
No, I was saying, I think anything brought to our attention would just already have that caveat of the system is already in place for it, should be fine, right?
Correct.
Conversations.
We do have policies and procedures in place, insurance requirements, security requirements, so they have to not only follow our rules, but fire marshals, liquor and cannabis board, so it's not just Parks and Rec, it's
Right.
police, it's fire, they go through the fire department, they go through the fire marshal, they go through the state, so.
Commissioner Good? You have a question?
Yes, speaking to this specific event, I'm actually participating in this event and will be at every single one of these events. And I can tell you personally, that it is very well organized and maintained, and they are going through all the necessary
Commissioner,
events that they have planned through.
so Commissioner Good, do you want to abstain from the
All
voting? Since you're
of the
Is she picking up on me?
Now she muted. She's muted now.
Okay, Commissioner Good, I think you're
Okay.
muted. Or it's
Yeah,
me.
I said if that is what you guys feel is necessary, I'm a vendor at one of those events, so it would be up to you guys, but I can tell you that I am present.
Okay, so are you comfortable for abstaining from the vote tonight?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Where's the beer garden located? Is it, like, how close to Lacey I mean, I just worry about the whole Lacey
So
Transit.
for this specific event, it's all maintained within the park property,
Okay.
so it's just,
North side?
what's that?
North side, is it towards I don't know what that street is, but going towards the street side?
Sixth?
Sixth?
Yeah, the plan is to kind of be centered in front of the stage, off a little ways,
Okay.
so that the public can get up to the stage without going into the beer garden, but that's the plan for now. That's with the map they sent. That
More
was
on that
the
side of
idea.
the park versus the transit side.
Yes.
That would be a nightmare to try to manage. Anyway,
Yeah, and again, it's maintained within park property, so
Yeah.
you actually where the red icon for Huntemer Park is on.
we're gonna share for the public.
Okay.
Just for a second.
So out towards Seventh Street or towards Fred Meyer?
Towards Seventh,
Yeah.
but not street side. Like the barbecue festival, they shut down the entire block.
Right.
Yeah.
And they set theirs up on Seventh Ave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one, there won't be any street closures.
Okay.
I think their idea is like 30 by 40. So not huge, enough to fit, maybe 40 or 50 people in it
Yeah.
at any given time.
I think we're good. Excited. Stop those suicides.
There any other questions for Justin? Any other information that you'd like to provide for us?
I don't think so.
Okay. Alrighty, so we have a motion. I gotta ask for a motion. Okay, we need a motion for the approval of the alcohol use permit.
I will make a motion to approve the alcohol use permit.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Larson. I have a motion and a second. Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion and a second, so any more discussion? All those in favor of the alcohol use permit, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, say nay.
Wait, no, sorry. Aye. Never mind. It was internal that I said.
There is no.
Sorry, I apologize. Strike that from the record.
Hearing no nays. The motion carries. You have approval for an alcohol use permit.
All right.
Thank you so much for bringing that to our attention and wish them all luck with this going forward, since you have 4 events or 5?
Four more coming up.
4 more coming up.
So I'll start working with them tomorrow to make sure got everything in line.
All right, perfect. Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to hear. And then you'll come back and report to us later how it all goes.
Yeah, I can report at the June meeting when I have a new application about what happens in May, so I'm happy to do that.
I always
for
love
you.
seeing you, Justin.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
come on back. All right, moving on to C, the North Thurston Public Schools Master Interlocal Agreement. This is an actionable item given by Jen Burbidge, our Parks, Culture and Recreation Director.
Thank you so much. So I'm looking for approval tonight of an updated master interlocal agreement with North Thurston Public Schools. And I'll give you a little bit of background. As many of you know, the city has had a long time agreement with NTPS. And some of you may recall that the agreement has several supplemental agreements associated with it, such as sports fields, booking, pool use of the buses, marketing, sponsorship, et cetera. And so a challenge with the past format is anytime just a minor change, like in the scheduling, I'll use the example of the pool schedule. We had one of the practice times that had to shift and then it affected the city program. But it's something that's outlined in the supplemental for our kind of operational use. But what happened is that would need to then go not only through Parks Board, but then onto City Council for approval. And so it it's a little bit high maintenance. So staff just looked at an efficiency that we could create. And so myself and our recreation manager and our assistant city manager and our city attorney all worked on this master agreement that's in your packet that we're recommending. And basically, this that master agreement will be approved by city council. And then there would be sub-agreements that we'll call them now, and that's how they're referenced in the draft there. And then those sub-agreements would still come through Parks Board, but it would just be Parks Board and then like school board, and the staff can, sign them, so it's a little bit easier. So operationally, we thought that was an efficiency. At your next meeting, the June meeting, Sue's actually working on the sub-agreement. So the sub-agreement format is not in your packet tonight. We're hoping to get this master done and then pushed over to council at their June meeting. And then at the Parks Board June meeting, she would bring the sub-agreements and those would come through. Basically, we need the interlocal and all the sub-agreements updated for the new school year. So we're hitting the 2024 expiration of, August 31st. So yeah, it would come to you in those 2 formats, and then we would be all set for the new school year. And we typically do those sub-agreements for 4 years. And traditionally, so we make them for 4 years, but traditionally it's been every couple of years that there have been some changes. So again, the Parks Board would see those sub-agreement changes, but they wouldn't necessarily have to go through the full city council. Yeah.
I think it looks great.
So,
Yeah, it's wonderful.
yeah,
Very
thank you for making efficiency. We appreciate any efficiencies we
Yeah,
can.
well, thank you for helping. I appreciate them too. I totally agree.
Yes.
It'd be kind of a pain to have to go through city council.
Oh, my God.
Every time you change that agreement, even for a scheduling change. It's just very nightmarish.
All right. Are there any discussions or questions for Jen regarding the interlocal agreements? Okay.
I move to approve.
I second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second for the approval of the North Thurston Public Schools Master Interlocal Agreement. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Hearing none, there is a approval. The majority says aye for the North Thurston Public Schools Master Interlocal Agreement approval. Thanks, Jen, for that. We
Yeah.
appreciate you very much for
Thank
doing
you.
all that. All right, moving on to item D, enhancement program updates with Jenny Wilson, our senior parks planner.
Thank you. So as most of you know, we have a process for the public when they have a request for a parks enhancement. We started this a few years ago and we review them every 6 months. So in February, we did a review of the ones that had come in and we had 2 that came in. One was for a conversion of the White House to a retail sales shop. And then another one was for a little library on the William Ives Trail. I included these in your packet, a summary of them, so hopefully you had a chance to look at them. The request for the retail sales shop was not approved by the committee. We decided that if we're going to add a retail shop to Woodland Creek Park, we needed to go through a different process, more of a formal competitive bid process would need to be used. And then for the William Ives Trail, we discussed this and we looked at the locations along the trail and trailheads. And I included a photo in the packet of a location near the trailhead that has a bench. That just seemed like it was a little bit of a better location if people were gonna have a library and be able to sit and read. So that's the only location near the trail that actually has a bench. So we reached out to them and gave them that suggestion. They seemed agreeable to that. So they're working with the homeowners association because that little sliver of property is actually not ours. It's on the homeowners association property. So yeah, they seemed agreeable. I know they're reaching out to the HOA to see if that'll work for them. So it's also a little bit of a better location. There's just more homes in that area. So yeah, the group that submitted it is they have adopted the William Ives Trail for Adopt a Trail. So I know that they want that trail to be their location. But yeah, just not a great spot to put up a little library, one spot. So anyways, that was the recommendations that we made, and we're looking for a motion from you guys to approve. And
So for that little library being built for the Woodland Ives Trail, it's on an HOA, so that wouldn't come to us to like we did with our Girl Scout group that was in Wonderwood Park. Okay,
Correct.
so that'll be offline and they will manage all of that.
correct, yep,
If the HOA says no, is it still a consideration
Yeah.
for where they
Then
want
we
it?
can come back
right,
to us.
right,
Okay.
yes, we could definitely reconsider it.
I'd like to leave the option open that it
Right.
could come back
Right.
to us if the.
Right, I don't think any of us were like, no, this is a horrible, it might be something that we might say, maybe Meridian Park right across the street might be a better location.
Okay.
We're definitely willing to work with them, but
Awesome.
if they're really interested in the trail, that's probably the best spot for them, so.
And I was really not comfortable with leasing out a portion of our property. I don't even care if it's a competitive bid. I didn't like the idea. I didn't like it at all.
For the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just, it's not.
Right,
Where's the location of that White House that they're talking about?
it's at Woodland Creek Community Park,
Oh.
and it's right between the community center and the playground.
Okay,
Right. So it was kind of, if we decide that we want to have a retail location, that would definitely not be something that we just decide and then go through a competitive bid process. It would something that we come to you with. Just from a practical standpoint, I don't
What
know.
did they want to sell?
It's a
That's
group-
kind of an odd spot
Right.
to attract.
Right, it's a group that is, they're disc golf That's the group. And they're
Oh.
they're a group that does a lot of volunteer work and with the disc golf that course that is set up at.
It would be well run and they are respectable people. And
Yeah.
the product
Right,
would be
right.
It would be very clean and it is a site that, I mean, it is a destination for disc golf in
Right.
the community and to have, I think it's also just another footprint for their community that I think they're probably looking for as well. That I think it, that is something that as we expand our disc golf, maybe that's something that we could consider in the future. I do understand like that this location maybe not at this time not be the best one, but.
Well, I was just I'll add too real quick, the White House, and maybe you were gonna say this too, is we use it for programming and then also it's like our main storage facility, so like hard to see where there would be even space.
Are they permitted like during tournaments and stuff? Can they set up like temporary tents and stuff and sell product at the?
They
So-
applied for a permit?
I'm looking at Justin because he does our park
Yeah.
rentals and he
So,
works with that
so
group.
we have an agreement with South Puget Sound Disc Golf Association. For the volunteer hours that they put in throughout the year, first they built a course at Woodland Creek. They provided all the baskets, the tee pads. And then they do volunteer work parties throughout the year. In return, we give them up to 3 weekends per year where they get to host disc golf tournaments. And with that, they not only do they use the existing 15-hole course, we allow them to expand it to 18 holes and they take over the north side of the creek as well. And I think they do, the club sells some discs, but that's it.
Okay.
It's a very small scale thing that they're doing and it's raising funds for their nonprofit group.
Yeah, cause I
But
think,
they're not like setting up a store during the tournaments, no.
but this ask was to use that space, the White House, as a place to sell
Retail.
items for retail. Yeah, but is there a way that they could do a mobile vendor?
What? Yeah, well, I don't, yeah.
That would be a program that would need to be set up by this board with the help from staff,
think it's-
if that's something that, I mean, we've talked about like mobile food.
I think
vendors
remote
before,
vending
too.
would be, on certain busy days and.
Yeah, remote vending, I think would be a better option or discussion to have with them as opposed to a permanent structure set up for vending their stuff. We wanna have partnerships with them. I don't have a problem with that, but a permanent structure or using a permanent structure that's already dedicated to something else is hard.
Well, I think this kind of brings up, I mean, at Wonderwood Park, I don't know, what are those big poofy stuffed animals? What are those called? Like the Snugglies or what, you know what I'm talking, do you guys know what I'm talking about?
No, I'm terrified.
Marshmallows?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So there will be like a Saturday that the entire back parking lot of Wonderwood Park is taken up by people who've set up little tents.
With marshmallows,
And selling those things, like but they're like, it's like a community that are like
marshmallow fans.
trading within each other, but it is kind of a retail and they stay out of people's way. It's comical to me, but like it is sort of happening at some of our
Okay, so-
facilities where like there is.
Yeah, so
kind
that,
of-
it's not actually allowed.
No,
Yeah.
I know it's not,
Clarify.
I know it's
Yeah.
not allowed, but I'm also like, I'm not a narc, so I don't like.
But I
Yeah,
think it's a
so-
discussion to have using our public spaces for vendors if it's a come and go type of situation as opposed, so they feel welcome to have those conversations with them. I'd rather them do it the proper way than go around the proper way to do selling of items. I'd rather have them,
And I know like
Filling.
we've kind of chased the ice cream man out of the
Exactly,
park, but
out
like,
of yeah.
maybe they can come to the park, like, let
Yeah.
them, like,
Yeah, if we want mobile vendors like that, we would need to put out, the RFP and.
Mm-hmm,
right, totally.
yeah. But maybe bringing some of that good.
But some of that softball, I mean, I guess people bring their own snacks and stuff, but I bet it would be fun to. Just gonna take my kid there with a backpack and sell Snickers and stuff. It's not me.
With your
little wagon.
Yeah,
If that's
well,
something
wagon.
that the board would like pursued, that'd be a great like work plan item for next year, just because our plates are so full. So that might be something when the work plan conversation comes up, we can make a note.
Okay. I'd like to put it on our work plan for next year to at least give the opportunity for vendors if you know, I don't know how specific it has to be, but I'm sure that I trust the staff will come up with
Staff would do
some-
the work, yeah,
Yeah.
so, and
But
at
we'll
least, you
come up
know,
with-
and it would,
Jenny will do.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But we'll support you. We'll
Yeah.
support you. We'll
support
be, we'll be here. We'll be here. We'll network and reach out to community members on what they're looking for and maybe target specific event just to get it started.
Yeah.
As commissioners going to help with that.
and it's something that it's actually come up over the last few years. I think there used to be, before we had concessions before we had the concessions building at Rainier Vista, it used to actually happen.
Yeah, people would
So-
show up in the parking lot.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
the Lacey Depot, I think, is kind of pushed the the idea or the background of having vendors that are mobile. That Lacey Depot is
yeah,
kind
the
of
food trucks.
that food trucks are,
So, and that one's it's got its own agreement and
Yeah.
everything, so.
yeah.
Yeah, but,
the
and
idea-
just to be clear, it wouldn't just automatically go on the work plan, it would be part of the discussion when the
Right.
work plan comes up, and then you all would obviously approve the work plan as you do.
Where's the White House?
Oh,
Oh,
It's the-
to the senior center?
yeah, the building across from
Mm-hmm, yeah, the
That
one.
thing the facade is falling down and rotten?
No, not that.
No, you're.
No.
No.
Kenny.
This is McKinney House. No, this is actually in between, like it's on the park grounds towards the playground equipment.
Okay.
Between
Oh, okay.
playground and then the senior
I was
center.
thinking that thing, you can't have anything in there.
No,
Well, plus when you throw the frisbee across Pacific, it just caught up in cars, it's just crazy.
so with the enhancement program updates, do you want us to approve as is and then we'll move that agenda item for the vendor questions for next year? Okay. So everyone's okay with that. So the enhancement program, I'm looking for a motion to approve the enhancement program updates as written. Have a motion for that as written.
Motion.
Okay, Commissioner Wheeler is doing a thumbs up and a okay, and Commissioner Fosbury is seconding that. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on our enhancement program updates? Hearing none, all those in favor of the enhancement program update, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, the motion carries for enhancement park program updates. Thank you, Jenny. We appreciate you. All right, and then we're moving on to E, the Greg Cuyo Park update from Jen.
Oh, yeah.
Culture and Recreation Director.
Thanks. Yeah, we have some renderings from the playground company, and so thought I would share. And it's been a minute since we've had a Great Keo Park update. So just an overall reminder. Oh, and this photo is, I can move this side. I was gonna say blocking the rest of the site plan, but just a reminder, there's 18 holes of disc golf course, 1 mile of trails. Driveway access, parking, there's an enclosure for temporary, Santa cans, large picnic shelter, and then nature themed playground with synthetic turf surfacing. And then, and the playground includes swings as well. So just a quick update is that, we are working on the final permitting, so many of the permits have been submitted, and so this is kind of your status update here. We will be advertising for bids in late 2024. Construction will start in Q1 of 2025 and tentative opening by the end of Q3 of 2025. So be nice if it was done in time for the summer. It may be fall, but we will all be excited. But I wanted to just talk about these renderings. So this is, you can see the phase 1 of the playground is in this spot here, and you can see this is expanded a bit. This is an aerial type of a rendering. And I have to apologize, this isn't the most updated. These little bubbles have been removed. So it's basically a creek. So it's a 2-color, it's synthetic turf. So it is like, just like they use on like soccer fields. And so this is gonna be green, and then we're gonna have the creek that represents Woodland Creek running through the middle of it. We decided to take these bubbles out so that there weren't as many seams. Just, it'll make it easier for the longer term maintenance. And then just to show you, as you know, well, some of you, not all of you, were on the board when we did the Greg Keough Park Master Plan and worked with the public on what type of theme they wanted for the playground, but many of you will remember it is the nature theme. And so here we have the tree fort represented and some, log lookalikes within the.
They didn't carve the slide out of an actual trunk of a tree.
It is not an actual tree. And then you'll see there's an elevation change here and you can see some, fun use of the hillside there for kids to climb and hold on to things. These are not the final renderings, but I just wanted to show you what was in the works. So, and we just got the new updated 90% design. So I'm looking at Commissioner Larson because he's gonna want a copy of it. We've taken all this time to get the redesign. As you know, we moved to a dispersion type stormwater system. And so the redesign work has been submitted to the city for review and staff is gonna start the 2-week process of reviewing. And then Commissioner Larson will get you your hard copy.
Single side, please.
Single side, okay.
Can't go through 400 sheets.
And we're still not gonna have restrooms or running.
Right,
water.
so that's correct. So phase 1A does not include restrooms. But we'll talk about, actually in one of my next presentations, we'll talk about the next phase.
We get water yet?
No.
No water.
Not this phase. Phase 1A has never had the utility connection.
Not in a bucket.
Bet B, there's no water.
The sandy can.
Park.
Need a little cleaning. And then does this have the signage?
Phase 1A has, yes, includes some signage, yes.
And those are ones we already approved. That's the ones that are going in this project.
The wildlife.
So are you talking about the wildlife? Oh, I'm sorry. No, not for wildlife. The wildlife, so
Oh.
for phase 1A, the wildlife information will be online.
Okay.
We did talk about use of QR codes, yes.
Okay,
So yes, we can put the QR codes
onto
onto the signage, yes. Sorry, make sure we're on the same page. It's been
So we're just.
a minute since we talked about it.
The name of the park is the only signage we're getting.
So, no, we have a kiosk. Okay, so I'll bring more. So you're gonna be getting more regular updates on this because we're gonna, as we get closer. But I can bring the full, I have shared it out before, but it might have been before, actually, before you were on the board. So yeah, I can bring the full signage package if you all wanna see that. I would like to see it. Yeah. Okay.
just like a refresher, so we can
Yes.
kind of picture it all coming together for everyone.
Absolutely.
I'm very excited about this. This is-
So yeah, that, just an update for you. So happy to answer any other questions you might have.
A question on that. I've never been out there and I shouldn't. I'm just asking the question. Is it moisture sensitive soils? Pretty much where all the first phase work is at.
Moisture sensitive. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, if it got clays in it. and-
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
all of that kind of stuff, it's probably gonna get, my perspective, my experience is, you can't take cats and run them through mud up to their bellies. You do more damage than you do. That's what my concern is. It probably won't get started with that first quarter.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Because of the weather. I see what you're
Because of
saying.
the adverse
Yeah.
weather, we're getting into the most rainy part of our season too.
Well, if it goes third quarter next year, it'll be in summer.
Yeah, I think there's some stuff they can do. So for example, the rack parking lot that's currently, that project started as early as possible this year.
That's all gravel.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of it. Yeah, that's true. Yep, well,
Yeah.
they just will do what they can and
And, I'm just saying the expectations may not,
we always have the intended timeline. So I guess that's,
we can put wood chips out there. I did that on one job.
did you?
Yeah.
Oh, it works, right?
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of trails with wood chip added to them for drainage.
Really exciting. I'm so happy the QR code's moving out there. Makes me happy.
Yeah, so, but on that note, is there work that still needs to be done before the QR codes?
Is there work?
Is there still work for the wildlife info?
Well, I think that's what Jenny and I were working on with the stream team, because I met with stream
Oh,
team
got it.
for our when we went to the day of caring. And I spoke with them and they're willing to partner with us. And so is the Audubon. I met another lady, she would do the birds if we wanted, any information we need. They also, Timberline Library has the Kids for Kids with the binoculars and all the guides. And I think I asked them, I was like, I think we need to up the number of how many we have, because if we do the QR codes, just kind of preemptively partnering with the school district, now that I'm a buddy, mentor lunch buddy program. And your wife is gonna do it too. So the schools are interested in partnering with us in that capacity with the library, so, and Stream Team. So I think Stream Team has it already built, from my understanding.
Yep, I've talked to them, they have, and it's actually something I'm gonna talk about in our sign update. They have a nature sleuth program.
Yeah.
And they have big plans for QEO Park. They're very excited about QEO Park and all the nature that's there, and that they can
It's super cool.
wildlife treasure hunts out there. So I know they're very excited, and that as soon as that park is open, they're gonna have a treasure hunt out there for that park.
That would be great. And when, do you know when the do you know how it's gonna be implemented or attached to the QR code, or?
They have QR codes right now that'll take you to the Stream Team Nature Sleuth website. And then from there, they can follow the link to, there's an app, or they can do it directly through the website, which will take them to like a mission to, like, at Wonderwood Park, there's, take a picture of this tree that they want you to find. And then if you complete those missions, then you get stickers mailed to you. And then you kind of keep a passport that you can do at all of our parks. There's like 50 other parks locally that you can do this at. And then you get entered into prizes.
Would Stream Team be interested in coming to give us a presentation at some point for the QR
yes,
codes
I'm
and see
sure.
how it works? And then like if there's any,
Yeah.
cause she said if you do the QR code the first time, I don't know if there's an accessibility for Stream Team, like every year you would have to update your app or anything like that. I don't know how that part works. So if they could walk us through how the QR works.
Right. Okay.
That would be great.
Yeah.
And the information it would provide. I
Sure.
think That would be a great.
Yeah.
Agenda item. I'd love to see it in action.
More work.
But it's fun work.
I know.
It's fun work.
This is gonna be a destination park, I'm telling you.
That's cool. I went out and jumped around it,
Yeah,
for sure.
it's fun. Yeah, awesome. It's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm telling you, it's Vancouver, Point Defiance.
There you go.
You're gonna be here. It's gonna be park right in our backyard.
So hopefully it's going to open in time for summer next year.
Hopefully,
Oh,
yeah. Yep, fingers crossed.
Keep the word out. Keep the word out. Are there any other questions or any other updates for the Great Cuyo Park? All right, we're moving on to F, the Regional Athletic Complex Phase 3 update from Jen, Integration Director.
One moment here while I get situated. Okay, so as you know, Carter emailed about, to everyone to let you know about the council discussion that was on the 23rd of April. And so, hopefully, at least some of you have had a chance to watch it. Feel free to do so. There'll be a lot of, some of this information will be repetitive, but I am hoping to give just a little bit of a quicker version. On this, but, sorry, I'm looking for my my little arrows. I
There it
don't know
is.
why they're not there.
It's down in the bottom corner.
You see it?
No.
Oh.
There.
Oh,
I thought I saw it.
I had to click to, okay. Okay, so for the rec phase 3, there is a tighter than we would like timeline, in order to be able to recognize the Public Facilities District extension. And so, we had gotten the PFD extension agreement, so this is the funding source, right, for the development of the rec phase 3. We had gotten the agreement signed by all parties in December of 2023. And then there has been work to try to figure out exactly when we need to break ground, and that needs to be before our current debt is expired. So, so construction needs to start no later than mid-2027, which sounds far away, but if you look at all the work that needs to be done, there's, you know, we need to do a critical areas report. That'll be the first step, and look at the gopher, Mazama pocket gopher mitigation. And so that is really gonna dictate how much space there actually is, to work with, and then move forward from there. And so, yeah, so I just wanted to point out that it is a pretty tight timeline. I also wanna make sure and clarify that the Parks Board has done a lot of the heavy lifting along with staff and the community to get the input from the community. So basically, so I made a recommendation to council based on all the work that you all and our outreach team, and, you know, with the help from a consultant, and then also staff, having the data of who is using our facilities and who's getting turned away. And so, and so that's where the community feedback and interest comes in. As you know, you worked on the comp plan, which includes the park capital improvement program. I think it's important to establish, and you'll hear me say this if you watch the work session, just that we really do have two very different type. Well, we have more than two, but in this particular interest, we have two very distinct types of stakeholders. So we have the general community, and then we have the sports users, the ones that have teams and leagues and tournaments that they're actually booking, right? And we know that the RAC is a wonderful mix of these two interests. You know, the current RAC and phase 3 would be no different. Has a lot of, it's a free space that people use in some areas of it, like the playground and the trails, and then there's pay to use as well. As we know, the field use is booked, the park shelters are booked. We have events that get booked out there as well. So the community input informed not only the comp plan, but also the RAC financial plan. Those two things came through Parks Board, or excuse me, they got finalized with the council in August of 2023. So they made their way through Parks Board last year. And then for programming considerations, you know, we really looked at the frequency, that's the data I'm talking about. The frequency of the tournaments that we're turning away is approximately 50%. That we're turning away for baseball tournaments. And then, of course, reviewing the top priorities from the public, and then really combining and balancing the sports stakeholders with community need. And I do also want to acknowledge that it may have looked like council had an official vote that they took. They did a Menti poll, and so we had gone through some of the scenarios that could happen on the RAC phase 3. But it wasn't a council motion. It was at a work session, and it was a discussion. There had been talk in the past about an indoor sports facility potentially being on this site. And we did in 2018 and 2019, we did phase 1 and 2 of a sports facility feasibility study, and had reported out to council in early 2020 about the findings there. And so that piece of it was just a reminder of where we had been. The recommendations out of that feasibility study was to have the indoor sports facility, like the best path forward was on the, it's now called Quaymuth, or used to be called Gateway, referred to as Gateway Development in Lacey over by Cabela's. Best path forward being with the Nisqually Indian tribe. And the tribe somewhat recently had expressed interest in still proceeding with that. They're just working on some other things right now, so. So that's why that was mentioned. We also took a look at a more heavily soccer focused scenario, and then the baseball scenario, which you see here. So the current, in regards to the soccer scenario, the current fields aren't at capacity. Now, part of that is because we only have currently one synthetic turf field with lights, And so it can be used all year round versus soccer field, the natural grass can only be used during the right season, because otherwise we would tear up the fields and they wouldn't be usable. So we currently do have soccer fields. We also have a really robust soccer field inventory throughout, well, somewhat through the community with the school district fields, between the city fields and school district fields. The one deficiency, so the focus of where the soccer fields need to go is Meridian Park. So we do have kids traveling cross town for practices, and that's space that has already been designated for soccer fields. And so that's, location really matters when you're talking about what type of fields. So, and on that note, with this recommendation, and this is literally just a clip of this side of the rack. So, hopefully there would be up to 3 fields, again, based on what we find out with the critical areas, unsure how much space, and of course, there would need to be site improvements like parking, utilities, yeah. So, anyway, but this is just to show, just a recommendation of a focus on baseball, and that way we would be more marketable for tournaments. If we had a few more, even just a few more baseball fields, when we're going out for tournament bids, and then not having to turn as many people away. And did you have a
I
comment?
got a
Sure,
question.
sure.
Oh, that south boundary, does that, they've been in there and they've hogged, brush hogged some of that, where that next to that, school is, the preschool operation, real nice one. We don't go down that far, huh?
South, okay, so that
We
is,
come
so down
more
here, down here.
That real nice,
Yes.
preschool facility. And they brush hogged the whole piece in there.
Oh. Is it right here, like directly?
Yeah.
Right here?
yes,
Oh,
yeah.
is it owned by Detroit?
I don't know, but they're gonna,
Oh.
I think they're building houses.
Okay.
I think it's a developer probably, but.
Oh, gotcha. I'm not sure what's going on with that property.
Send the
Check into
Gophers our
buying
way.
it, Parks buying it, see what they with funding somewhere.
Oh,
Be a nice
well,
addition to that property.
that's a good point.
Well, I don't know
I
if you're putting houses.
Don't know if
there.
it's for sale.
If you put housing there next to a baseball tournament place, is that gonna work? I mean.
Noise.
That's the developer's
Yeah.
problem, not ours.
Right below the soccer field.
Yeah.
If you got the lights shining in your backyard, the developer's gonna.
Actually, with the new types of lighting, it's actually
Not that
less
bad.
intrusive. Yeah, it's really cool.
Is there, I know it's been talked in the past of, having more of a, minor league stadium type feel of that side of property. Is there the capacity of having one field that would have the
So,
bleachers and have
Right, so thank you.
capacity for it?
Yeah, thank you for that. So less stadium, more like a championship field, which definitely the community could benefit from a championship type field.
At least like bleachers and, yeah.
Yep, there's potential, there could be potential for a wood bat league, which has been something that's been talked about. And also, not only that, but community events like concerts, it could
Yeah.
be a great venue for that. So there's a complex in Ridgefield,
Noise.
Washington.
Developer let it go.
What's that?
Noise, but we like.
I know the bad things
Oh.
about our project.
Yeah, what, yeah, what? Why are you pointing out the bad things?
These are all good things, good things.
Well, who gets built
Music's
first?
good.
Is that how
Yeah,
it works?
it's built first.
I think you mean to say challenges,
Opportunities.
opportunities.
But you also
Yeah,
said there's
so-
a trail in here too, right? Under
Yeah.
the oak,
Yeah.
oak
There,
trees.
there could be an opportunity for a trail, and that's, along the lines of the free type of use that can occur. And I mean, there could be free community events, there could be paid for events, like if it was a bigger scale concert.
That is 2 pictures, right? The intersections are offset there.
Yes, I'm sorry, yes,
Put it over.
yes, this is not a super professional. So we have a drone shot, and it's just a slightly different angle.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a drone shot of the phase 3
Right.
property, but yes, essentially this is the same. Good eye. Okay, so the full recommendation is the baseball focus, but just highlighting the fact that the infield, which would be turf, so it would match the surfacing to the current rack, which is grass outfields, turf infields. Those are in use all year round with even soccer, lacrosse, rugby use. There's not a lot of adult soccer use, but I was talking with sports staff yesterday and it was kind of like people are looking for any type of turf space that they can. So, you know, so adult soccer could also utilize that. And then part of the recommendation would be to convert second field to turf and add lights and add bleachers, since there's space over here to add some bleachers for like a championship, more of a championship level soccer field. So that would enhance the facility. The funds can be used on any of the rack. So that includes the current rack and the future phase. It just needs to be debt issued on the original project. So.
It's a nice relationship with the Squally there with the parking and summertime for.
How,
Yeah.
so when we issue debt, how far out can we go? Cause the way 5 years of this new tax. When we redid the tax this last year, I can't remember, the council decided to run it again.
Oh, the rec financial plan?
Yeah.
So the council had agreed to,
That was 5 years, but I might be wrong.
okay, so what you're thinking of likely is that they designated reserves to offset the operating cost.
Right.
Yep.
So when you buy a field for $500,000, can you pay it back? Wait,
So there are challenges with the budget, and so if you would like more detail on the budget side of it, I would highly recommend watching the work session because the finance director went through
Okay.
lots of different slides.
It's a lot of
And-
numbers and
lot of numbers.
charts.
And if it
Just
doesn't
curious.
answer the question that you have, be sure to circle back and we'll
Okay.
make sure that you get the information you need, so.
Another question,
Oh,
how many parking stalls are we getting?
Oh, yeah.
Parking
I
lots.
was curious about that too.
oh, the current rack project
Yeah.
that's being worked on? Oh, gosh, ask me that. I wanna say 310 parking spaces off the top of my head. Anybody know? Oh, I'm gonna have to validate that information.
Would you like me to go over there and count? for you?
No, we have it. It's I just don't remember. I don't have it right with me. But I can email you.
Ruby
I'm
Valet.
telling you, across the street, it's gonna be $30,000 a parking spot.
Valet. Bus is free.
So then,
Sellers hard at work.
Yes. Parking is tough.
It is really tough.
we're starting to dive into, cost estimates. That and like the space that's actually available is really gonna drive like how much can actually go there. So we are actually, staff is going to be talking to council at their work session at the end of May, so it's May 28th. And so we are, going back to council for a discussion, so would love to get any feedback that this board has. If there's any that you want to give or any other questions.
Well, I was just happy to hear that the partnership with Quaalude is not off the table. I was a little concerned when I saw the voting kind of at a, what do you call it?
Oh, the Menti poll?
The Menti poll
Yeah.
made me a little concerned because the multi-purpose is something that was also an ask within our community, have something where people can go and community in the inclement weather. I know we had the
Yeah.
badminton group come and talk to us, the tennis players, people who play indoor sports. So having that partnership and having that discussion with Quaalude going forward next to Cabela's, I still want to have an open dialogue, because I think YMCA and North Thurston Public School, is that part of that as well, or is it, or Quaalude?
No,
is the-
so that's a great question. So the Young Child and Family Center is going to go
County
at the
corner.
Bucknell site. Yep, and then Quaymuth, of course, is over by Cabela's
Cabela's,
across the freeway.
No, I just
Yeah.
didn't mean-
Yeah, because I still
So
want to
it-
continue,
expand.
maintain the partnerships with all of those entities as we move forward. So I just want
Yeah.
to make sure we weren't taking things off the table, especially because I didn't remember it coming to us first about, I know we did the surveys and we did but I kind of felt like we've got new commissioners and people coming in and it was I was a little surprised that we were having a work session with a vote. And so that's why I brought up my concerns. I feel like it should go through us with our community before we, have a vote with the city council that this gets to say what those three options. But I saw your recommendations and then going back and following up, it helps me understand this better. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate it.
You betcha.
I really want the multi-purpose.
Oh, the indoor sports facility?
I do. I mean, there's a lot of people who it would benefit throughout the year and it has multiple uses and it serves a wide range of community members who are residing here. So I did understand Councilmember Dunning's point, we need to have services for even the people who live here for the legacy of Lacey, not just a community that's coming and going for tournaments. So I was glad that there was a discussion with the city council.
Yeah, and the challenge with the indoor sports facility, as you can imagine, is, it's probably upwards of $30 million. And then you have another, the current rack is about a $1.2 million operation annually. And so with the indoor facility, it would be like, approximately $1.6 million annually. And so the PFD extension is gonna generate approximately $14 million. And so if you think of it in those terms, but the planning and design component is 20% of that right off the bat. And then we have mitigation for the Gophers, and that could be upwards of, $500,000 to $1 million, depending on how our
aggressive the
habitat
Gophers are.
conservation plan works out. So, did
they find a significant population of them?
So, so the Gophers, it has to do with their habitat.
Yeah.
And so what was the question?
Is there a significant population? I mean, your mitigation plan, you're gonna buy or get some other property to move those Gophers too, or?
Yeah, so you don't physically move them, but
I know.
you purchase, you do purchase credits or property that's habitat, a similar habitat. And I don't know all of the details with the.
Purchase?
The school district across the street.
Oh, is that where we're gonna move them? Ah, interesting.
You don't physically move the Gophers.
No, I know, but I mean,
I mean, we could try it.
It's beyond the track.
We digress.
Over Squally.
Program.
but again, I mean,
No, the
habitat for those Gophers to move to.
And I did just look up, there's the new rack parking lot is gonna have 340 paved stalls.
Yay.
Oh,
And
even better than.
6 electric vehicle charging stations and 8 bus parking spots.
Wow.
Done by the end of the month?
It's
They say June?
it's actually going along pretty well. Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yep, it's getting really close, actually. Thank you, Jenny, for looking that up.
Thank you, Jen.
All right.
Thank you, Jen.
And yes, and there's still more discussion on parks
Yeah,
funding,
but I
so.
appreciate you clarifying things because I was getting like a little confused and lost and I'm getting frustrated with myself because I wasn't understanding everything and then I got on a tangent in my brain. So it
Oh,
was
so
nice to have
I know what I was gonna share. I was gonna share real quick with the indoor facility. The Nisqually Indian Tribe did share out at a council meeting not too terribly long ago, a couple of different concepts, and one of them had a heavy recreation focus and the other had, I think, more commercial. But it sounded like whatever they end up doing is going to be a mix, between those two things. And they specifically mentioned the indoor sports facility. So
because that's
it's still on their radar. It's just their process is long.
Okay, but it's still a partnership with us to work with.
Potentially.
Yeah, and that, okay, I just wanted to, make sure that was still all good, alive and well, and we're.
Yeah, and actually I'll show you, I'll touch on it in one of the slides that's coming up.
All right, thank you. So are we moving to the next agenda item?
Oh,
Is there
unless the, anyone has any questions for me?
any questions on the regional phase 3 updates complex? All right. Okay, we're moving on to our park funding strategy update by Jen Burbidge, our director.
Oh, I found it.
Who's still here?
Okay, so, those of you that watched, this is, gonna be repetitive, but it's super important information. And again, I'm gonna give a condensed version, and a lot of it is very repetitive because you all went through the comp plan process, so. But
That looks
super
like 4th of
excited,
July.
super excited to talk about it. Yes,
Coming up.
yeah, this is July 3rd at Rainier Vista Park. That is true of it. All right, so, yeah, again, you all did the heavy lifting on the comp plan and the, Parks Capital Improvement Plan and everything. But I provided council with an overview of current operations and conditions of not only Parks, Culture and Recreation, but also Public Works Parks Maintenance, which is, the department who, with us together, we make a full park system and the maintenance that is required for that. And just really, sharing how these two departments work together to serve Lacey. Shared community feedback we've compiled on what residents want from their park spaces. And of course, you'll remember the shift away from the property acquisition to property development, more, or not necessarily just development, but accessibility and improvement of current spaces and trying to get people out into the parks that they currently own. And then knowing there are revenue gaps to meet the needs of the community. We talked about finding a path forward to be able to improve and maintain the park system with Lacey's growing population. You all are very familiar. We just not too long ago did the annual report. So we covered our awesome and amazing programs and facilities. And then this one I wanted to spend a few minutes on actually, because you haven't seen this exact map, but let me walk through it. As I had said earlier, the Lacey Park system is 35% developed, leaving many opportunities to get folks, access to their parks. And so this map, it shows the green Lacey Parks. Those gray areas you'll remember is the travel shed or the 10-minute walk from the comp plan. The yellow background shows city limit and the orange background shows the urban growth area. So these red circles are indicating undeveloped park properties that need some type of improvement in order for the public to access them. So for example, you'll see that Great Cuyo Park is currently circled because it's not yet open to the public. So that'll change shortly where pieces of it are. But then we've got so North Campus Park. So this is Meridian Park right here. And there is a park that's a 5-acre segment, which is 100% undeveloped. And then obviously, phase 1A development for Great Cuyo. And then rec phase 3 right here, which we just discussed, which is completely undeveloped. And then on down to McAllister Park, which is also undeveloped. And then the blue circles indicate partially developed park property. And so they are accessible to the public, but they're just unfinished, right? So we've talked about Meridian Park, where there's sports fields and additional amenities that the public would like to see. And then over here, this little circle inside the bigger one, that's Pleasant Glade Park. It's got a picnic table. It has a gate. There's no parking. So it's accessible to some people, but not, it's not super duper accessible. And then on down to Brooks Park, which is this little guy here. It's basically a patch of grass in one of Lacey's lowest income areas. That's something that should be looked at. And then we have Wanchers Park, a wonderful, beautiful space, but also unfinished. And then over here we have Long Lake Park, which, as you know, needs some beach improvements. And then the city also purchased the adjacent 1.8 acres that needs to be added into the park space. The master plan should be updated. And public would need access to that adjacent space.
Is somebody working on a master plan or?
So we haven't launched that process yet. It's one of those things we'll need funding for.
On the Brooks Park, what's the acreage on that? Burgundy Park? Is it a 5 as well? Is that?
1 acre,
It's not 5.
1 acre,
No,
It's
I
like an 1.3,
1.5.
I wanna say, but I'm not positive.
Yeah,
small.
we can look it up, but it's pretty small. But it's something that should be looked at. So, and then this slide also indicates just the park desert of city properties anyway that exist. And so just, I think, showing even more the importance of making sure that folks have access to the parks that are already existing, right? We looked at, so this will look familiar to you too. This was, excuse me, I have this retainer this was in the annual report. It just shows how labor intensive the parks maintenance side of it is. So a total of 32,366 hours. There's 22 FTEs. That also includes some other stuff that's non-park related, but that's where we just break out the park maintenance hours. And so that's the point of this slide. And then just the current conditions of parks is that we have many facilities and amenities that are in need of upkeep. We're faced with aging infrastructure and a growing population. And while we're doing our best to maintain current services, it is most definitely a challenge. In 2002, a parks bond funded the construction of many parks and playgrounds throughout Lacey, and that was a capital bond. So there wasn't money for M&O. And so those playgrounds are aging out of the manufacturer's warranty and will need to be replaced soon. In addition to funding the playground replacement costs, ongoing repairs are, a challenge. And then just to give you an idea of the growth, Lacey has experienced 33% growth in the last 10 years. But if you look at the last 20 years, and I'll note that that was the last time a major parks investment was made, it has been 80% growth in Lacey.
And for how long?
That's in the past
20 years.
20 years?
Yeah, and that's from the latest census numbers, and so there's been growth
2,000.
even since.
Since 2000.
Well, that's from 2000, or no, 2020.
2020?
The 2 decades is 2,000.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah, in the last 20 years.
So,
Oh, sorry, I was
2000
curious when the
census.
last census
So in
was.
the last 20
20
years, 80%
2020,
growth.
yes.
so is the council considering a bond issue?
Oh, so,
We
well,
propose one.
yeah, so let me get to this. I mean, I'm not answering that, yes, yeah, it's further in the presentation. But what I want to point out, because you all have seen the Parks Capital Improvement Program and improved it, I just want to make sure you know how hefty it is. It's, if you total everything up, $60 million in projects. Now, this is a 6-year plan. Obviously, not everything happens in 6 years because there's different funding opportunities. For example, the RAC Phase 3, right? There's the PFD, which is a unique funding opportunity for that. So as the grants become available and funding becomes available, that's what shifts things up and down. But what I want to point out here is that there's capital projects and major replacements. So we put them on 2 different slides. And so and I want to point out too, the projects that are currently funded in the budget have the green check mark, and they're not included in the total down there. A few things to note, the key takeaways from the public outreach as identified in the comp plan. So we have Greg Keough Park next phase, and that's in answer to the need for trails and preservation of open space. And so that's where you would see Greg Keough Park next phase planning and design, and then we have Greg Keough Park next phase, that's construction. Yeah, and so that would include the restrooms and the additional parking that would be needed, and then whatever other amenities, were the top priorities for the public. So that's captured in there. And then you'll see 4 spray parks in here. The one that is listed first, right here, the intent is, as you know, we're at the table with the YMCA and Northwest Public Schools for the Young Child and Family Center. So that's a proposed location for the first spray park. And then in future years, these wouldn't necessarily all have to be in the same year, but they're captured on this line. With locations to be determined, you know, potentially throughout Lacey, like some of the spots could be Meridian Park, could be Rainier Vista Park, et cetera. And that's an answer to the public's request for access to outdoor water opportunities. And then there's also, the public was interested in a warmer temperature pool and indoor opportunities, indoor playground, for example, and these are represented on this line item. And that again is in conjunction with the Young Child and Family Center. There is a $5 million placeholder in here. That was not actually that wasn't identified in the PCIP, but the city manager had me put that in there as just a placeholder for now. And then over here, you'll see potential partnerships. So Chair Goodwin, this is what you were talking about, like with an indoor sports facility. This is a potential partnership. There's a placeholder again for $1 million. And then same with a baseball championship field. $1 million contribution if it was like on someone else's property. So these are actually items that are on the city council's work plan as things for staff to look into. So we have been, you know, reaching out and trying to form partnerships and explore opportunities. So that's why those are kind of over here.
So there's a lot of Long Lake Park stuff on there. I mean, $7 million worth of stuff.
Yeah.
What are you building or thinking?
So here's so you see first the updated master plan, and that's what would really determine what would go in there. So we had some work done on Long Lake Park before you were a board member, and there was a lot of safety and access improvements in that. And so not the road, but the trail that goes down. So the beach improvements. So the slope is very steep.
Yeah.
And so the work that we had from a landscape architect in concept only is they helped us first, number one, with the swim area. So we redid the swim area in 2018. And then they provided safety improvements for the whole swim area, and that included the beach slope, replacing the pea gravel with sand, and some other safety things. So, and then access. And so there would be, the trail would be redone that leads down to the water. And then if you consider the adjacent property, it will be determining what to do with that. We got some recommendations for that, and staff have recommendations as well for how that property would be used. And then once the master plan was updated, it'd be a matter of construction. So yeah, so the planning and design again is 20%. So we have it estimated here at 1.2 million just for the planning and design. And then the actual construction, we have 6.4.
So that's to include the extra parcel that you just, that we have too. So it's not just Long Lake piece, but it's also the
Right.
new one that we just purchased.
Correct. It would be like master planning for the whole thing. Again, these are estimates, and they have inflation worked into them as well. So as you know, it depends on what year the cost is driven really by,
How
you know,
strong your dollar is.
what the amenities are and when it actually takes place, so. Okay, so then if we look at replacement, again, same thing. If they're considered in the budget, they're checked off on the left. We have another 6.8 with major replacements and some M&O associated with that as well. The other thing of note, as I said, there was a major investment made 20 some years ago. There's a lot of replacements that are needed, not only in this 6-year time span, but also there's gonna be some warranties expiring moving forward. So the next 6 years is another, what, 8 million. So you can see that there's a lot of needs. And so in terms of meeting the community need, what we discussed is, you know, the why. So the community feedback was important to update not only the comprehensive plan, but also, if you recall, in 2020, the council asked staff and the Parks Board to close communication gaps with the public after the 2018 Metropolitan Park District proposal did not pass. And so they really wanted to see like, what are those communication gaps? So that's what, you know, we all have been working on. And so what came out of that is obviously the PCIP like we talked about, and more information on the outstanding maintenance needs. And then the how is really what we are, you know, going to council and saying, how do we,
pay this?
how do we figure this out? Yeah, exactly. We did touch on viable funding options available to city parks. The takeaway from this slide is that metropolitan park districts and public facility districts are the most versatile for parks funding, parks type of funding, because you can see all the categories are checked. And so again, with the council work session, we went more into a couple of different scenarios and what could be generated with bonds, capital bonds, which as you know, don't have M&O associated with them.
So I didn't watch it. What was the temperature on running another Metro Park District?
Yeah, so we didn't actually ask,
Talk about that.
we didn't ask that. So we'll get there in just a moment. So all the projects, this is just a quote from the comp plan, just that all the projects require public funding, and serious consideration should be given to a dedicated parks, schools, recreation funds. And what can we afford with current revenue sources? We know that the current general fund revenues don't have the capacity for capital expansion, and that operating revenues can't fill the gap, and that reserves are limited. And so the next step is what we asked from council is their direction. It wasn't an official motion. It was just a basic, you know, kind of thumbs up, move forward, bring some information back to us about establishment of a parks improvement funding work group and the bring a future resolution. So we're working on that draft right now and just would love to get, you know, any Parks Board feedback that you have about that. And basically it wouldn't be, you know, we wouldn't want to start over with the work that we've done and already established the priorities. It would be more, sorry, I got ahead of my notes here and I need to go back. It would be to really drill down on priorities that have already been established and then like clarifying associated costs and identifying a funding strategy. So it's really more like the financial side of it and potential measures that could be considered. So.
And when do you need to take that back to council?
So good question. So May 28th work session, we're on the schedule to bring a draft. And then
Including your funding strategy draft?
no, it would be for the establishment of this funding work group. So it would be actually an ad hoc committee, so different than the committees that we've had. We had an outreach team that helped us with outreach. And then we had a parks task force, which helped us drill down priorities. And then this would be, like I said, more focused on like the how, right? And making a recommendation to council. And council would want it to be an advisory committee, an ad hoc committee that would do the work and then be disbanded after that point. That was actually, you know, like application was made for that and the full council approves. So staff is working, we've already started working on that recommendation to come back. Yeah, and so like I said, if there's feedback that you all would like considered in that process, please let me know.
Easy peasy. Just like that.
Lemonade stands and brownies.
And so how many people are you thinking on this ad hoc advisory committee?
So there was one recently, a resolution was passed at a recent meeting for a human services advisory committee, and that one has 7, I'm looking over to Carter, yes. 7 members.
So some more 7-Eleven type people are you looking from like business representation and community representation, that kind of stuff? On
So they talked about not having too many people, right?
Yeah.
'Cause sometimes that can be challenging. And then I think as far as the representation, we're still working on what kind of a recommendation for that. And then Parks Board, of course, would be closely updated with this and looking at potentially a Parks Board liaison to the group. I thought that was a good idea.
I think it would be a good idea.
But again, we just started working on it.
Also, Brooks Park is 1.1 acres.
Oh,
I
thank
looked it
you.
up.
1.1, what did you guess?
1.3.
Oh, okay.
1
Just I said one.
So all of this is gonna get rolled into the annual budget. And you gotta submit it June, July.
Oh, no, not all of this. Do you mean the rec phase 3?
No, I mean the
The
funding
budget.
strategy for, we're gonna do the M and O and all, whether we're gonna go for a bond issue or
Oh,
whatever
that's,
you're gonna do with this committee.
no, not for the,
Does Lacey
not,
do-
not for
does
the.
Lacey do a 2-year
no.
or a 1-year budget?
1 year, yeah.
So
Not for
July.
this, not for this coming budget. No, Jenny has on her report a little bit later what we're putting in for. So there's some items from the Parks Capital Improvement Program that we'll put in budget requests for. One of them's RAC phase 3. Obviously, but.
Are there any other questions for the Parks Funding Strategy Update? Questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, we're moving on to item number 5, our reports. Do we have any commissioners who would like to give a report tonight? Hearing none, moving on to chair. And of course, I always have something to share. I wanted to reach out or say my thanks to the day of service that was rescheduled at Woodland Creek Park because of the inclement weather and freezing temperatures the day that it was scheduled and moved to March 16th. It was a great day, nice and sunny. Lots of community members out there helped us remove all the blackberry bushes, which are not fun. So lots of scratches, but we all laughed about it. And Stream Team was out there. They were very helpful. Lots of education, a lot of support and photography. It was a really wonderful day. So I wanted to say thanks for that. I also wanted to, this is gonna be a little hard for me, but I'm going to do this because it's gonna weigh on my mind if I don't say something. And it's with regards to permitting hate speech being viewed as a constitutional right to freedom of speech during one of our Lacey Commissioner meetings. Currently, and this is just for me to get it out into the, for me. Currently, by allowing 3 minutes of public comment permitting hate speech, if it's not relevant to our posted agenda, it's an abuse to our community members and it does not instill safety, confidence, or support for the community that they live in. And we are permitting abuse of our community members. Even if it is not relevant to our agenda items, nor can it be passed to further agendas not related to said commission, is an affront to our volunteers or stipend commissioners. And we are permitting abuse of our volunteer community members. And it is an inability for the commission to exercise the ability to address or suspend public comment. Under authority, powers, and duties of our board, the Municipal Code 2.44.050, Section F, is to make such rules and regulations in regards to the use of our parks, culture, and other recreational facilities as shall best serve the interests of the public. As we are under the umbrella of culture in our title as Lacey Parks, Culture, and Recreation, I would underline culture as all the ways of life that are passed down from generation to generation. For the greater good of our Lacey community members and generational legacy of inclusion, public comment options and details be reviewed before presentation to commissioners. Hate speech when presented is immediately addressed by chair with support from city staff. And some type of format of communication that it's irrelevant if we do not, hate speech is irrelevant if we do not address the division of our city. It is a leader and community's role in business and government to bring people together, not tear them apart. And inaction cannot be our action to this process. And now I can sleep tonight. All right, recreation manager.
Okay, I'm gonna give Sue's report. She is out this evening. For programs, special events and marketing. Registration for summer programs was on April 17th. We brought in $62,674 in revenue. 61,000 came from registrations done on the web. And I just want to acknowledge our customer service staff who did such a great job, although we do a lot more registrations through the web than the phone and the in-person than we used to. However, our phones were ringing off the hook. So there's a lot of questions, and even the day before and the day after registration dates are really busy. And so our staff just did a wonderful job of taking care of our customers as they do. And then let's see, Sue reports the parking lot at the rack is moving along quickly. We talked about that earlier. Sean Finney, who's our athletics supervisor, received the bid for the 10 and under USA Fast Pitch State Tournament for 2025. So that's always a big deal when we get the bid, we win the bid for the tournaments. Sean also went to a teams event with Experience Olympia and Beyond, which is our visitors and convention bureau, to work on bringing tournaments into the area. So it's very much a partnership. And as you know, the impact from the RAC was approximately $15 million in economic impact to the area. So yeah, that's all she had.
Thank you, Sue. And thank you, Jen, for presenting for her. Parks maintenance supervisor.
Jamie, I'll be giving Jamie's report. They installed gates at the Long Lake House, which is the property that we purchased a few years ago. They also repaired a vandalized gate at Long Lake Park. They de-winterized the irrigation lines and completed repairs. After de-winterizing, they applied spring fertilizer. They troubleshooted irrigation connection issues related to the new RAC parking lot. And they responded to 7 acts of graffiti and vandalism and onboarded and trained 9 seasonal employees.
Thank
Busy
you.
season.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie and team, and thank you, Jenny, for reporting. Senior parks planner.
Updates. So the foundation work is complete at the RAC kiosk project. So as you remember, this is a joint project with Thurston County Historic Commission and our Historical Commission. They are going to begin assembling the actual kiosk the week of May 6th, so next week. Jen mentioned the 2025 capital budget request process. So for 2025, we are including requests for RAC Phase 3 planning and design, replacing the dock at Longs Pond, a water feature and replacement of the climbing structure at Hunter Park, Long Lake Park House, possible demolition. We're kind of pending assessment on the structure and historic significance of that house. And then we're also putting in for the Rainier Vista pickleball court, softball net and ping pong tables. And we had this week, the Washington State RCO grants were due. And so we submitted those. We submitted them for the Rainier Vista pickleball courts project. So we're submitting a budget for 2025 just in case we don't get it. And also for the Bush Park playground replacement project. So we're getting official permission for that at the city council meeting on May 7th. And we'll know about that in late October for awarded funding. And some other updates, the library installed a new storied trail at Wonderwood Park. You know, some of you live around there, so hopefully you've seen it.
It's out today.
What?
It's out today. It's really cool.
Oh, great.
That's great.
And then I sent this out, but thanks for your interest in the Thurston County Conservation Futures participation. Sounds like Wendy was selected as an alternate, so hopefully you've gotten some information from them directly. Nope.
Yeah, but I'll wait for it.
Okay.
Is that what it's gonna say, conservation?
Yes, it should say.
It'll say I was picked as alternate for
Yes,
conservation.
yep.
Yeah, I took somebody from Yale.
Right, it sounds like it was a lottery system of some sort that they selected, so, yeah. And then, I have an update on our, off-leash dog.
Before you go on
Yeah.
that May sixth, the install for the kiosk at the rack,
Yes,
is it good, will it take days to put that in, or is May sixth like its final day, or?
that's the starting
Starting day,
date,
okay.
so I don't know exactly how long it'll take. I'm sure it'll take a couple days. And I'm not entirely sure when the panels, the historic panels will be installed. I know right now they're just working on the actual structure.
And there'll be a dedication for that too, that you guys will be invited to.
Oh, that'll be
So,
cool.
yep, like we just, again, we don't know exactly what that date is, so.
So off-leash dogs. So as you remember, late last summer, we collected data related to the off-leash dog issue. And the first step in working on this issue is updating our signs and increasing communication related to it. So this is just a follow-up on those efforts. Seems like it's been going on for a really long time, doesn't it? Yeah. So we're updating, so we discussed, we're updating the park rules signs. And obviously it's hard to see, but the very top one is keep your dog on a leash. And then we have this blank marketing area that will be on most of our signs in the parks, not all of them. So this is what we're kind of following up on, is that we're completed the design for what's gonna go in that blank marketing space. So in addition to the like rule section of keep your dog on a leash, we're gonna have more of a fun visual of please keep your dog on a leash. It keeps everyone safe, including me. And then this will be information on how to get in contact with us. This can be changed out for just information on upcoming events. This one will be on activities. This is on our financial assistance policy. And this is our City of Lacey Works program, which is kind of a new program where people can get in touch with us, file complaints, ask questions. So it's actually really great to have it directly in our parks, because if there's a problem with a maintenance issue with the park, they can report it that way. And also our land acknowledgement, which will be at the bottom. And follow up related to wildlife information. So the parks that will have a nature sleuth mission or adventure, we will have this on there. And so they can scan the QR code and it'll take them to Nature Sleuth. They can then follow that information to do missions to get wildlife information. And right now they have them up and going at Woodland Creek Park, Wonderwood, and William Ives. So I think the challenge right now is that there's not a ton of information out there. So hopefully having this out will help. And they have them ready to go and ready to publish at Rainier Vista and Lake Lois. So just waiting on that a little bit. And then others that they're working on and are coming soon are Launchers, Bowen Road Habitat, and Cuyo Park, which they have everything, I think, ready to go. They're just waiting to get some signage posted and get it published, so.
What was the one after Watchers?
Launchers, Mullen Road Habitat. Have you, I can tell you about it. It's a little bit, oops.
Okay.
That is also known as South Lake Trail.
Okay.
Is that by the fire station?
It's behind like, yes, kind of Timberline High School area. It's in a neighborhood. There's only street parking. It's really a habitat area, but there's a trail that goes through it. It's very. So this is just kind of a mock-up of what it'll look like when it's all put together. And then we are also doing a social media campaign. Haven't started it yet, waiting until the weather gets a little bit nicer. And this is just, this is very helpful from our public affairs department. I don't have these graphic design skills, so they came up with this. And so each one will be a little bit different of, why you should keep your dog on a leash. They get scared. Keeps everyone safe, get spooked. Can be unpredictable. Yeah, and then also, I don't have it pictured, but also in the campaign, we will include it in this city's Lacey Life newsletter, our department newsletter. And then we're also getting several boards, sandwich boards that'll go up in the hotspots that we identified when we did the observation that, some of the fields, baseball fields, unused baseball fields were kind of a hot spot. So those will go out directly there. And then I also attended a homeowners academy, the city's homeowners academy, gave out flyers and information on it. The general consensus was, yeah, people don't have their dogs on leash and we should fix that. So hopefully maybe some information, getting information out through HOAs will be helpful, but and then the long-term plan is to put this out, hopefully it helps, and then reevaluate our timeline this year, signage, education, just helps.
I like that picture. That dog, you can like hear him breathing. Breathing through the structure.
A lot of dog pictures lately. Great. So, any questions about that?
I love the campaign. I love the pictures.
I did too. I thought it was good.
Oh, yeah, this is all public affairs. I will say they're bring them a problem and they've got a really great way to help you with it, so.
I like that it takes it from the dog's perspective too, or the animal's perspective.
right.
It's like, yeah, it's not just about humans, it's about our pets as well. So I
Right.
like the pet perspective of it.
Sometimes rules are not everybody's ticket to enforcement. Sometimes pulling at their dog heartstrings might be a better way.
Just have a sad human be like, your unleashed dog cost me a $300 vet bill. That was me.
Exactly. So more information to come as we see how that hopefully makes a difference.
Well, thank you for that presentation. I look forward to seeing it out and about. Yep. Especially that sleuthing one. I like the leash one as well.
Yep.
That has been a lot of work. All right, and then we're moving on to reports from our director.
Yeah, thank you. So just a quick clarification from last meeting. If you'll recall, we had some discrepancies about the financial assistance program. So I just wanted to make sure that you know that those funds are not lost if allocated to a customer and the customer ends up not using them. The city retains the funds for future financial assistance program use. Just wanted to circle back on that one. In other good news, we received a grant from the Park Foundation of Thurston County in the amount of $1,149. It was distributed through Park from St. Mark's Lutheran Church to help fund the summer playground pals and free lunch program. So we want to thank them. You probably all got the email about the Ken Balsley Memorial Bench dedication reschedule. So we finally have a date, May 30th. At 2:00 p.m. Would love it if you all could attend, and please feel free to share with others that might want to know about that. The city's Water Resources Department is partnering with North Thurston Public Schools for a new field learning experience at Wonderwood Park. It'll be this fall. The dates are still to be determined, but they're planning to have 5 to 7 environmental learning stations over 3 consecutive days. This will be for Camacha Middle School students who could walk to Wonderwood Park. So excited about that. And then last but not least, Commissioner Good was reappointed to a second term on the Parks Board at the March 19th.
Congratulations, Commissioner Good, nice job.
It's there to look from.
Oh, okay. Well, we would like to, yeah, congratulations. And that's all I have.
And can you, what was the May 30th? What time was that?
2:00 p.m. at Civic Plaza, where the bench is located.
Thank you. Commissioner Larson and I are cheating off each other's notes. Oh, sorry. All right. All right, is there anything further for the good of the order this evening from anyone? All right, well, I would like to adjourn this meeting this evening. It is 7:18 PM, May 1st, 2024. Our next meeting will be June 5th, 2024 at 5:30 in our council chambers or online.
Oh, need a motion to adjourn?
No.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Have a wonderful evening. Appreciate you.